folks, guns, gear, and on-target training out here in Oregon. I've been doing a series of videos about different types of firearms for personal protection, really around home defense. Today I wanted to talk to you about an option that frankly I feel is best suited for most situations. And again, when people ask me what type of firearm should they get, there's a whole lot of questions that go into that in terms of what's the mission of that firearm, how are you going to train, what's your practice schedule, how do you secure that firearm. So there are many factors that go into this. So there's no one perfect best solution, but for home defense, particularly in an urban or let's say highly densely populated area like a town or a city where you've got neighbors, within 50 to 100 feet of your building, your structure, or an apartment, the choice of ammunition and particular firearm is really important. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorites for home defense. Before we do that, if you enjoy our content, smash that like button, invite your friends and family to check it out, and subscribe. So what we're going to do today is talk about a really solid option for many people. Most people who know firearms would agree that shooting a long gun with a few points of contact or shooting a brace pistol with a few points of contact is easier to do than simply shooting a handgun with two hands. Pros and cons: handgun is smaller, right? For some people in some situations, that's a better option. But if I'm just thinking of how do I bring a student relatively new to this, whose only and primary function of the firearm is personal protection in the home or home protection for their family, I would actually recommend something like this. This is a braced pistol. It shoots the 9mm caliber. It also has a suppressor on it. Now, suppressors, another part of the thing to consider in terms of cost. They're not hard to get, it's just slow. There's paperwork and there's a lot of effort and energy that goes into that specifically. There's also a $200 tax stamp in addition to the suppressor. But let's set that aside for a second. So a braced pistol in 9mm is, in my mind, easier for most people to learn to shoot. Forget the suppressor for a minute. But again, I have multiple points of contact. I've got my hands on the foregrip. I've got my dominant hand on the fire control system here. And I've got it up against my cheek. So that's 3 points of contact. Light recoiling, although a blowback design like this PSA ARV pistol has a little bit more felt recoil, but I think it's totally manageable. The 9mm round with good quality defensive hollow point ammunition, I think, is a better choice than, say, a .357 Magnum in the home. Why? Because the blast, concussion, and recoil of this is hard for most people to manage without a lot of practice. I'm not saying it's not a great revolver. It's a fantastic revolver with a really good round from a defensive standpoint, but it does require a high level of proficiency to use effectively. When we look at other kinds of handguns, in this case, this is a Glock 21. Again, good option, and this is, shoots the 45 ACP, so 45 ACP with good jacketed hollow point ammunition, solid round, really good round. But again, I think it's harder for most people who don't train and practice a lot to master a handgun versus a braced pistol. Then you have the ability to have multiple points of contact and something that is very controllable. Next, adding the suppressor allows you to shoot subsonic rounds, 147 grain, and there are several different hollow points designs out there. But 147 grain jacketed hollow point made by Spear, Federal, Winchester. I mean, there are a whole bunch of different groups out there that make great quality 147 grain ammunition. And so, yes, it's loud, but it is nowhere near as loud as a 357 or other pistol that has not been suppressed. If you take any of the pistols or revolvers and you attach a suppressor to them and you shoot subsonic ammo, 357 ammo is not subsonic unless you do some very unique loading. And at that point, the round is moving very slowly and not going to be as effective as what I would consider in terms of what the 357 does. So again, braced pistol here is giving me multiple points of contact. It's very easy to maneuver. I can shoot it one-handed if I had to have a light. This particular firearm, this braced pistol, does have a light. It's just not on here right now because I'm doing some work on it. But it allows me then great flexibility. Super important thing. I can shoot this gun faster, much faster, put a higher volume of rounds into a potential threat than I can with a handgun. A braced pistol allows me to shoot faster and more accurately for combat effective hits than a revolver. I get 6 rounds here. I get up to 35 rounds with the PSA mags for this particular firearm. So I've got way more ammunition so I don't have to reload. And I also have a round that is moving at a speed, and assuming I get hits, is less likely to over penetrate versus a 357 Magnum or a 44 Magnum that's going through and will continue to go a greater distance because of the velocity and weight of that round. Now, pros and cons, right? Where am I living? I'm living in a place where there are neighbors around me. So I don't have the ability to, and nor the desire to want to put rounds, if I had to, in the direction of other houses with a caliber that's likely to just continue to penetrate through. So that's why I favor a pistol caliber, either carbine or braced pistol for home defense. The other thing to think about is when you take a new student or when you take someone who's not particularly versed in firearms, I can train someone, and I do this regularly. We start with long guns, like a brand new shooter. You start with a long gun, a 22, whatever that is. So they develop the confidence and the proficiency to understand how to work the trigger, the sights, and run fire control system. And that confidence and the ability with a long gun that has 4 points of contact, cheek weld, shoulder, dominant hand, non-dominant hand, is far easier for people to shoot. You train people who've never shot before, give an AR-15, those people are shooting very quickly at a decent level of accuracy and speed compared to someone with a handgun. Again, handguns are great tools. I own them, I carry them, I have them for self-defense. But if I have a choice, again, with my scenario, then this brace pistol or one of the other brace pistols, such as the Foxtrot Mike Aim Surplus brace pistol, or even something like this M&P 22 pistol. This is the 1522. Is going to be easier for someone to master, in my opinion. Talking about the average citizen out there who wants to protect their family. And for that, a brace pistol, in my opinion, is far superior to just about anything else. Would I choose a 22 for me, for what, my skill level and the things that I do, my level of proficiencies? No. My issue with the 22 is not that it can't be effective. It's more that the caliber or the rounds are not always consistent. And so as you're firing, you are likely to get stoppages. Anybody who shoots a lot of 22 ammunition will know what I'm talking about. Not always high quality. And yeah, so you buy super expensive ammunition. Is it unlikely to fail? Of course, absolutely. But in general, what I want is I want accuracy, reliability, ease of shoot, and the ability to get combat effective hits on target if faced with a deadly threat. Deadly threat to me is weapon capability and intent. If I have those three things and I'm in fear for my life, I am going to be likely justified in using force to defend myself. So guys, as you're thinking about what option you want for defending your home and your family, I encourage you to look at braced pistols, or even go the SBR route. I do have an SBR and 5.56, and again, really, really great thing. It is suppressed. In this neighborhood, though, setting 5.56 rounds at 2,800 feet or 3,000 feet per second through the walls, potentially, if I'm not getting hits, I just don't want that liability. I'd much rather shoot a caliber that is less likely to over-penetrate. Again, we're talking jacketed hollow point, quality jacketed hollow point rounds. We are not talking about ball ammo. And I'd much rather do that suppressed, because shooting in an enclosed area unsuppressed, folks, is just loud. If you've ever forgotten to put your ear pro on, even outdoors, you'll know what that's like. I shoot indoor ranges when I do double plug foam, and then earphones on top of that. Noise canceling earphones. All right, guys, so think about that as you're getting ready at some point, or maybe you already have, you've made a decision about what firearm you might want. Think about over-penetration, ease of use, consistency of hits, reliability, accuracy, and how quickly you can put combat effective hits on target without missing. What would you do? Now, a lot of people have written into me and tell me, yeah, I want a 44 Magnum for personal protection inside the home. Okay. Whatever you want to do, man. I mean, it's all good with me. Just get the training, do the practice, and develop a high enough level of proficiency that you are safe in the operation of that. And most importantly, you can operate whatever tool you have chosen under the extreme stress of a potentially life-ending encounter. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got ideas and other topics you'd like us to cover, let us know. Shoot us a note, and we will respond. I really appreciate each and every one of you who watches the channel, supports our video, and I especially appreciate those folks who weigh in with comments and perspective. I continue to learn from you guys, and I'm always open to hearing different perspectives and new ideas, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your support. Finally, and as always, stay safe.